Welcome back to another episode, diving right into the crazy, intense trial of Sean Diddy Combs. What a whirlwind, right?
Oh, absolutely. This case has literally rocked, the entire music scene, the legal sphere, and even pop culture.
Yeah, it's like the story goes, allegations of sex trafficking, racketeering, and transporting individuals for prostitution, all wrapped in this explosive mix of court drama and celebrity scandal.
Yep. And we can't ignore how these charges, especially with the mention of freak-off parties and even baby oil, really added a shock factor to the proceedings.
Exactly, yeah. So, starting off, Diddy was indicted back in September 2024. The charges were super heavy: sex trafficking, racketeering, and transporting individuals for prostitution, with allegations that he orchestrated these coercive events.
Right. And it was alleged that he used his power in the entertainment world to lure women into these really disturbing scenarios, often involving drugs, violence, and manipulation.
Yeah, it's almost surreal. It's like you have these elite freak-off parties where everything is meticulously planned. Baby oil, illegal substances, even video recordings, also graphic.
The language they used really painted a vivid, unsettling picture. And speaking of key players, the trial saw testimonies from several women, notably Cassie Ventura.
Right. Cassie Ventura stepped up and gave a harrowing account. She described years of physical abuse, psychological control, and what she claimed were non-consensual events masked behind lavish gifts and power imbalances.
And then you had Jane and Mia, who also testified, each with their own twist. Jane's testimony even included some emotional complexities, like admitting she still had some feelings, which is just so layered.
Absolutely. And Mia's account, where she alleged sexual assault and being held against her will, really added to the intensity. This wasn't just a cookie-cutter case. It was about understanding what consent truly means amid power, money, and manipulation.
It's a real clash between the narratives, too. On one hand, the accusation was that these events were part of a larger criminal enterprise, almost like organized crime. On the other hand, Diddy's defense argued a very different story.
Yeah. His legal team, led by Mark Agnifilo and Taney Garagos, pretty much said the charges were an overreach, that Diddy's lifestyle was being targeted rather than proving a criminal enterprise.
Right. They even went as far as calling him a swinger, didn't they? Suggesting all of it was just wild but supposedly consensual behavior.
Exactly. But that point really gets under your skin, you know? I mean, can we really reduce a serious abuse allegation to just a swinger lifestyle?
Well, that's where I actually challenge that argument. Yeah, I mean, it feels like a bit of a cop-out, a reframing of the issue that minimizes the pain and coercion the victims described.
Yes, I totally agree. While it's true that some of the women claim to have continued relationships with him, it doesn't erase the accounts of physical abuse and psychological control that were detailed.
Exactly. Shifting to the verdict, on July 2nd, 2025, the jury returned a mixed verdict, didn't they?
Right, they acquitted him of the most serious charges like sex trafficking and racketeering, but convicted him on 2 counts of transporting individuals for prostitution.
Yep. It's such a nuanced outcome. On one hand, there's this acknowledgement of wrongdoing, and on the other, a clear gap in the prosecution's case for the more serious charges.
Yeah, it's like the jury couldn't fully buy the government's narrative on organized abuse, perhaps because some of those charges, like the RICO-based ones, were a bit too abstract or legally complex.
And then there's the moment when Diddy locked eyes with the jury and mouthed, "Thank you." Really surreal, don't you think?
Very surreal indeed. His family's applause and the public's polarized reaction, some celebrating it as a victory for truth, others decrying it as a failure of justice, really encapsulated the charged atmosphere.
Also post-verdict, the judge denied him bail, mentioning his disregard for the rule of law and a propensity for violence. That's just a stark reminder of how serious the implications are, regardless of the mixed verdict.
Yeah, sentencing looms now, with up to 20 years in prison on the table. And let's not forget, there are still over a dozen civil lawsuits pending against him for various other allegations.
Right. So it seems like even though he managed to dodge some of the major charges, his reputation and his future is far from secure.
Absolutely. And wouldn't you say that this case speaks volumes about the broader issues in our justice system? I mean, how power and influence can blur the lines of accountability, especially in cases involving sexual abuse and coercion.
Exactly. Yes, it forces us to confront the uncomfortable reality that the legal process can be both a tool for justice and sometimes a platform for narratives that whitewash serious abuses.
Right? It's like this reflection of society. The trial wasn't just about one man, it was about power dynamics, cultural reckoning in the Me Too era, and the media's role in shaping our perceptions of these events.
And the public reaction was wild. Demonstrations, celebrations, even people spraying baby oil in the streets. It became a cultural moment on so many levels.
Exactly. It's almost like the street theatrics mirrored the courtroom drama, a reflection of deep societal divisions on issues of race, power, and the credibility of survivors.
Speaking of race, the defense even touched on issues of racially motivated prosecution, didn't they? Citing the origins of prostitution laws as potentially biased. That's a complicated angle.
Yeah, they argued it was a kind of a modern-day witch hunt targeting a black man in a very high-flying industry. And that definitely stirred up more debate on justice and accountability.
Absolutely. But then, if we look at the legal analyses, some experts pointed out that the jury might have had doubts due to the complexity of the racketeering allegations, too many moving parts.
Right, the jury's split decision might actually reflect a cautious stance on interpreting the law in a case that was both high profile and legally intricate.
For sure. And it leaves us with this lingering question. How do we balance the narratives of powerful men and the survivors of abuse in a just and fair manner?
Exactly. This entire trial forced us to examine what does consent truly mean in relationships marked by influence and imbalance. The lines get so blurred that it's hard to say where criminality ends and private lifestyle begins.
Right. And don't you think that, regardless of the verdict, this is going to have a long-lasting impact on cultural conversations, maybe even policy reforms?
Absolutely. Whether it's inspiring more survivors to speak up or prompting lawmakers to reconsider how such cases are prosecuted, the ripple effects of this case are bound to be felt.
Well, we have to see how the sentencing shakes out on October 3rd. That decision might well serve as a precedent for future, similar high-profile cases.
Right, and with so many pending civil suits too, Diddy's legal saga is far from over. It's a tangled web of legal, social, and cultural threads that we'll be watching unfold for a long time.
Yep, indeed. In the end, the case truly illustrates how alliances, power, and public perception all collide to create outcomes that are anything but simple.
Exactly. And it reminds us that though justice is the goal, the journey there, especially in cases involving influential figures, is laden with complexity and controversy.
So, as we keep following this story, the key takeaway is that the truth in these cases remains far from black and white, and our justice system still has a lot of growing up to do.
Absolutely, and that's what makes these ongoing conversations so crucial. For justice, for the survivors, and for shaping a future where accountability truly holds sway. Thanks for joining the conversation. More to come next time on the Celeb Podcast.